Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Normally my husband will join me. He may or may not pop in on this on tonight. But if he does, fine. If he gets an opportunity to. But hey, listen really quickly. Let's just take care of some little house things. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. I am coming on, and those of you who have subscribed, we've reached 400 plus subscribers now. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Listen, our last video, one of our last two videos we did, one was titled Do Africans Like Us? And that particular video, if you've seen it, if you're not, you just got to go back and look at it. It got quite a bit of feedback. You know, it was some great dialogue, great conversation, and it got me to thinking. These are things that for those of the diaspora who are coming back to Africa, who are open and are saying, you know what, I want to go and visit, but I would like to go and stay for a period of time and learn more about our history or their background. And so I think from our last video on Do Africans Like Us, from the comments, it's a myth. And the reason why I shared that and wanted to talk about that is because when we've returned back from our visit and just sharing with friends or people who have heard about it and they've asked questions, and both people we know and don't know, right? So, and 3 times or more, you know, we've gotten the comment, oh, but they don't like us. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad you all had a great time. That sounds like a wonderful experience. I would love to go, but they don't like us. So I knew that had to be a conversation that we need to have. So I wanted to hear from those that are from Africa, especially Ghana, which is the area that we went to. So I wanted to get the dialogue and get some feedback and allow Americans, the Black Americans, to hear from the Ghanaians on what they truly feel. And I know everybody can't speak for everybody. You're gonna have that one or two that truly probably do not like Americans, and Americans probably truly do not like Africans. But in the dialogue, what we're finding is just simply a misunderstanding. You know, some information was given, some imposed ideas or thoughts or beliefs of somebody else passed down without any legit or hard, concrete evidence that will solidify not really liking someone, okay? But listen, today I wanted to share something with you because after that dialogue and that the topic my husband and I shared and talked about, it got me to thinking, and I said, you know what? We need to have more of this conversation. We need to have more of these talks. Like family, sometimes to get to the healing and the root of the thing, you gotta come together and have the conversations and talk about it. And y'all, so what I want to come on and share is what prompted me to pursue my studies and to even look at Africa. If you've looked at any of the other videos, I told you my lack of interest towards Africa because of the media, the things that we were taught here in the West, the things that were shown to us in the West. There was nothing great or beautiful coming out of Africa that will make it desirable. You know, you would rather go to Disney, you would rather go on a cruise, you would rather go to an island somewhere and visit, you would rather go to a resort somewhere and tour everywhere else but Africa. But why is Africa looked down so terribly upon? So I'll say in 2020, something President Trump, who will be coming into office 2025. But in 2020, he said something, and I went and got the article. Please do go do your own research and look up this article. And the title of this article is Trump to Black Americans. And I quote, "If you don't understand your history, you will go back to it again." And I heard Donald Trump when he made that statement on that day live on TV. And a lot of us got in our feelings. Oh my gosh, the rage just was blowing up on social media. Who does he think he's talking about? I ain't going back to slavery. Ain't nobody going back to slavery. But only thing they heard was, you will go back to it. And they missed the part where he said, if you don't understand your history. He's telling us, go study, go learn your history. Black people in America, go learn your history. And baby, when he said that, all the lights went, oh, he said something. He said something. But a lot of us took offense, as many of us do, instead of hearing the first part. Learn your history. And we see now how the history in America, it's been blocked. The true history. We want to make it all nice and pretty. We have politicians making comments like, oh, well, I'm not saying slavery was great, but one thing about it, black people got Jesus, because if they didn't, had it not been for slavery, they would have never gotten Jesus. They would still be over in Africa practicing their hoodoo, voodoo, and hugging on a tree. Ignorance like that. So, and that was something, I paraphrase that, was from a pastor who shared that to his congregation from the pulpit. So please go, that's a June 29th article. Excuse me, Trump to Black Americans. If you don't understand your history, you will go back to it again. So go and look up that article. So after President Trump said that, I said, let me go study. Let me get to study. And I had already been studying, but when he said that, that ignited, that stirred up a fire in me and said, girl, get it together. Put away the entertainment, because he just told you. Go learn the history. Something is brewing and something is cooking. And we actually see that indeed something is definitely has been brewing and has been cooking. It may have been simmering in a crock pot on low. And now we're seeing that things start to get really, really hot in the kitchen. But y'all, in my studies, I came across this book here. It is called The Religious Instructions of the Negroes in the United States. So when I say Black people learn your history, from the foundation to the inception of Black people coming to these United States in slavery. In this book by Charles Colcock Jones, I'm just gonna, we have really got to learn our history. I know, and even some Black Americans, we don't know this part of history. We don't know this. It's not taught in our schools. It's not taught in our churches. Some people know it because they were a part of this. Their parents, their grandparents, their great-great-grandparents, their ancestors taught this, implemented this. That's in this book. So in this book, he calls it a sketch. So it's like, it's over 222, that's Belly. It's a 222 year period. It goes period 1, period 2, period 3. And I kind of highlighted some things in here. Just go over some things and just share with you. In here it says efforts for their, being, in here it's called the Negroes, for their religious instruction both in Great Britain and America, year by year during this period. So in 1673, it looks like there was a Christian directory put in place, and it was directions to those masters, the slave owners, to those masters in foreign plantations who have Negroes and other slaves, being a solution of several cases about them. So there are like 7 directions, okay? Just to kind of scan through this a little bit, that they were given directions to. The first direction was to call upon the masters, excuse me. The first direction was to call upon the masters, the slave owners, to understand well how far your power over your slaves extended and to what limit God has set there too. So God condoned and approved you to have slaves, but you got to understand what your limit is. And then it says in here, remember that they have immortal souls and are equally capable of salvation with yourselves. But when you read this, let me just say this. The slaves here in the U.S., the Negroes in the United States, were not allowed to practice Christianity. They did not have this religion. It was not for them. But this came about as you will go along and you will read this. It was put in place to control, to bring them under subjection, to make them better behaved, more obedient. So we teach them Christianity and teach them things from the Bible, and we will get better results out of our, as I said, out of our Negroes, out of the slaves that was on the plantation. You know, it was so hard to read some of this, but knowledge and understanding at this point in time in our life, it is imperative that we read. We got to read the books. We got to read the books and get an understanding. And I think we will see where the root cause of the division, of the hate around the world towards Africans, and why, especially in America, like most places that we go, we just automatically wear this shield or this coat of this extra layer, this extra layer of skin of protection wherever place we go, because we don't know when we're going to enter rooms, spaces, and places where somebody, the things that was printed in this book, where there are people who actually feel that we are less than. Let me see. Here's a part that I can share with you. It says, of late years, the Negroes in the free states have manifested a strong inclination to be independent of the influence and control of whites, and to create and manage their own ecclesiastical establishment in their own ways. So, at some point, we want it to come from up under their teaching. They're giving us salvation. They're being a savior. The masters being a savior for us and to us. I'm pausing because all the mixed emotions I had from this book called The Religious Instruction of the Negroes in the United States, and what our ancestors went through. And let me just show you this. So I told you this goes through a 222 year period. They have it broke down period 1, period 2, period 3. where they went through the plantations and teaching the masters how to give religious instructions to their Negroes and Indians. Yeah, but the fact that it said that we were African heathens and the Indians were described as Indian savages. I mean, the bywords and the labeling and the name calling that is in this book. So at the end of this 222 year, this historical sketch of religious instruction of the Negroes since their first introduction into this country to the present time, 222. So let me look here. Let me give you some dates. If y'all have not read this book, the first period is from the first introduction in 1620. We know about the 1619 transatlantic slaves. 1620 up until the first census to 1790, that's a period of 170 years. That's period 1. Then it goes to period 2. Then it goes to period 3. But here's the thing. At the end of that 222 years total, the third period is now completed. And with it, this historical sketch of the religious instruction of the Negroes since their first introduction into this country to present time. The following general observation, I'm just going to run through. There's just like 4 things here. Number 1, the Negro race has existed in our country for 222 years, in which time the gospel has been brought within reach of, been communicated to, multiples and tens of thousands have been converted and have died in the hope of a blessed immortality. So they saw some good results. And then the second thing, number 2, was while there have been few societies, the Negroes, while they have been comparatively but few missionaries exclusively devoted to them, yet they have not been altogether overlooked by their owners nor neglected by the regular ministers of the various leading denominations of Christians, as the facts adduced in this sketch. It's a sketch, okay? So here's the study and the findings. And 3 is, and I'm just picking pieces out, okay? The third is, the people have consequently been left, both in the free and in the slave states, the states that was free, where slavery was no longer legal, and then the states where you could still have slaves perfectly with no problem, in great numbers. Y'all listen, amongst the free slaves and the states with slaves, in great numbers, in moral darkness, we have been left in moral darkness and destitution of the means of grace. I'm like, what? After 222 years, we've been found to have been left in moral darkness and destitution of the means of grace. 4, the great and good work, therefore, of thorough religious instruction of our Negroes remains to be performed. And then it goes to the next chapter that says their actual moral and religious condition. So in here, it's saying that we have a moral condition and a religious condition. But the words and the language, let me see. You have got to read this book. Okay, let me see, something that is mentioned here. In December, well, I'm not sure what year this is, there's a report of the committee on the subject of religious instruction of the Negroes, okay? South Carolina and Georgia. This report is a series of resolutions, okay, that were subjoined. One is that to impart the gospel to the Negroes of our country is a duty which God, in his providence and in his word, imposes on us. But he didn't impose upon you to not enslave us. Babe. He didn't impose upon you not to mistreat your slaves, not to continue buying and selling slaves. Number two, it says that in the discharge of this duty, we separate entirely the civil and religious condition of the people. What? 3, that the plan which we shall pursue for their religious instruction shall be that permitted by law of the states. 4, we deem religious instruction to master and servant every way conducive to our interests for this world and for that which is to come. Read the book, y'all. Read the book. It was never really about salvation or message of grace. It was to subdue, because from my understanding, I think during the with the slaves, there's about recorded, look it up, do your research, about 400 insurrections where the slaves rose up. You know, they did certain things to the masters. In the night, they fought back. They wanted their freedom. Just because you give me Christianity and you tell me Master got shoes, but you gonna get your shoes over yonder. Master has his house here, but you serve and do well, and you will have your house way over yonder in the sweet by and by. But we have a moral condition. There's something wrong with us. How is it? You say there's something, we have vulgarity, broken English. You took somebody from a people, from their native language, their native tongue, forbidden to speak their language, forbidden to practice their customs and their ways. But somehow, the people that colonized, that raped, pillaged, beat, lynched, slave breeding houses, Africans, the Negroes, were the bad people because we wanted freedom. We are the bad people. We have a condition. So when you have said this to a people and it's spread it throughout all of the United States, at this point, 222 years, now to the point it's 400 plus years, and we can go to the four corners of the earth, no matter where we go, with my skin tone and my husband's skin tone. We're byword. We get the looks. We the whispers. You understand? So, and I'm gonna say what Donald Trump said. Trump to Black Americans. Look up that article. If you don't understand your history, you will go back to it again. So I share this so that for those of us that are not reading, go read. Go study, go learn, and we will see and find out what root needs to be pulled up and plucked out, severed and destroyed, so that collectively as a unified body, as one people, for us to become one nation, truly under God. We got to go back to the foundation. Will we understand and find and see where the lies are? What's been hidden from us, like the lies that's been told about Africa. It's poor. You know, a people that would enslave you and block things and oppress you, how can we trust them to tell you the truth? And a lot of people know this. That's the hurt part. There are some people who know this history and know that was the whole plot, plan, and scheme. Oh, how the enemy will come together and conspire to break them up from becoming a nation. All right, y'all have a great one. I just want to come on and share. Please comment. What are your thoughts? What are your experiences? Did you know this about the American history? That this is what the Negroes, that's as written in here, because we've had all kinds of names, but we're gonna go with the one that's in here. The Negroes who were heathens and the Indians who were savages experienced and went through here in the United States, trying to receive religious instruction of the Negroes in the United States. Grab the book, comment, like, share. Let me know your thoughts. Let's have a conversation, okay? All right, y'all have a great one. Bye. Like, share, subscribe to Jordan's Gonna Go.